Hello, everybody. This is Joy from Joy of the Garden and Home. I don't even know my own name. Joining me today is at Healy Means. Hi, Healy. How are
Hi, how
you?
you doing?
I'm good. Let's see. Yeah, how's usually we start the show with how's the weather? How you? How's it? How's the plants growing and stuff?
Well, I'll tell you here. So Southern California is on 10B/11A. It has been raining on and off
Oh,
for the past maybe three or 4 days on and off. It was raining just yesterday. It was drizzling a little bit this morning, but it is overcast. It's
that's
overcast, but that's a good thing because I'm working with my starts. Everything is outside, and it helps, I think, the little seedlings not to have that intense,
yes.
direct, all day sun and heat. So the overcast weather is pretty good. There's a saying here. It's called May gray because it's overcast, and then June gloom
Oh,
because it's
okay.
still overcast, and then July fry because it
Ah,
gets intensely, hot and whatever. So
wow.
any kind of gardening or whatever, if I'm gonna do something new, if I'm gonna start something new, I need to do it now. The earlier the better, but in May. So even if I start late, May would be the time to get it done while it's still fairly moderate, kind of overcast, so not the blaring, blazing heat,
Mhm.
especially since I do everything outside. But anything starting from scratch, like past here, I'm gonna have to deal, with the July fry.
Right,
So,
right. I am in a similar situation. It has been, I don't even want to say, it's been almost perfect.
oh,
like, like the end of our April was mild, like for spring. It was really nice spring. You got the
hmm
flowers really in bloom instead of that like quick burst and then a frost that kills everything and
hmm
everything's back to gloomy again. And then coming into this early May, it's been gloomy, like you said. It's been rain and sprinkles, but that's been perfect, like you said, because I've been hardening off pretty much all of my seedlings, and it has really cut my time immensely because otherwise I'd be in and out, in and out. And the temperature has also been moderate. The
hmm
lows don't go below mid 40s, and the highs, maybe upper 70s, but mostly mid 70s. So it's been
uh-huh.
perfect for putting everything out and not have to worry about schlepping in and out of the house, every night or like 2 hours in the morning and then bring it back in and then 2 hours in the afternoon or nonsense like that. I've just been able
Yeah.
to like let them all out and leave them there permanently because it has been this nice overcast. Nobody is frying out there in the
You're doing
screeching
good.
sun.
Well, you brought up a good point, and we let's talk about this for a second before we get into the topic because it also gives people time to come into the live stream. Thank you if you're here joining us for the live. Thank you also if you're coming back for the replay. We appreciate you.
Yes.
But you mentioned hardening off. Now, for me, the way that I garden, because I do everything outside,
Mhm.
everything gets thrown into the deep end. So you hardening off while you still a seed in the starter tray cell.
Sure.
That's your hardening off. It's that tough love just right from the beginning. So I really don't have a hardening off,
Right.
but you do. So tell us, like your process and how
Yeah,
you go along
because
with that.
everything is started at the very minimum, like 4 weeks before it goes out. Because
hmm
technically, we have another maybe week on average that we might still get a frost. Like that
Mm,
happens plenty of times. Like 2 years ago, I think it was like either on Mother's Day or right at Mother's Day that we had freezing temperatures at night. So putting out a seedling that you put that's been in the basement or whatever in the windowsill for four
yeah.
weeks and then just dropping them into the earth
hmm
is, I mean, it might work out. For most of the
If,
time it doesn't.
have you tried it though? Have you just kind of just threw it out there and like as a test, or you always do the hardening?
I mean, I've done variations of just throwing things out. um and I don't recently see myself having done it, but I'm sure I've done it in the past. I'm sure. Totally depends on the seed, on the plants. So it could happen. I've heard people. I see people write all the time. I don't harden anything off. They're fine. Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, good for you. But
For you, yeah.
some of us, no.
One thing that I have heard is that some people, because I am interested. I want to know, like, you take this, out for so many minutes or so many hours, you bring it back in, like, how many days do you do that and what's the process? But what I have seen some gardeners do, because they don't want to do the, outside, inside, outside, inside, they find shady, like
Yeah,
partial shade or
right,
mostly shade, but a little bit of sunlight. They find an area like that outside
right,
and they put their seedlings out there and leave them out, but the seedlings are protected. They get like partial shade or even, 75% shade, 25%, sunlight. And
sunlight.
then even though they stay outside, as the days progress, they'll move them into sunnier and sunnier
Mhm.
areas, but they start off in the shade. And so they
Right,
don't do the inside outside. But
right.
what's your process though?
What you were saying works a lot for people who work like 9 to 5, like
Mm,
most people. So for me, I'm able to have a covered front porch that's the east facing, so I can put, if I was hardening off on a normal year, then I would
mm-hmm,
put them out in the morning, get that morning light, and then bring them in for the rest of the day for, let's say, 2 days, and then
mm-hmm.
the third day I'll put them out. Since it's covered, then I could put them out, all day, but bring it back in at night, because the nights would still be dipping into like that 40s. And most of the summer plants, like your tomatoes and peppers, particularly peppers, they don't like that temperature so much, that dip into the 40s. And
Mhm.
like at minimum, normally it takes me 5 days to harden off. I'm sure I could cut that to maybe four. At
Yeah.
maximum, depending on the weather, obviously it
Mhm.
could take, like, let's say 2 weeks. I've heard people say 2 weeks, like master gardener in Scott
Mhm. Oh
Garden
yeah,
Scott.
I watch
He's in
him too. Yeah, I
Colorado.
watch his channel. Yeah.
He's in Colorado, so his sun is more intense, I guess you'd say.
Mhm.
So he takes a lot longer to harden up his plants because he doesn't
Yeah.
want them to fry. And yes, they have fried. I have, yes, now I remember, the plants that I have out in my mini little makeshift greenhouse,
Mhm.
they've been hardening off for weeks and weeks. But if the sun is strong enough, the little leaves, they do fry. I have plenty of fried leaves in there, and it's
Yeah.
all open and everything. It's just the sun, really
Uh-huh.
crisping up, and the sun hasn't been that intense yet. So
Mhm.
it does happen. You can and do end up killing your plants if you don't do that gradual shift, if they've been indoors for a while.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if they do what you like, if I do what you do, which I'm doing with like corn, since it's a quick, turnaround, so I'm able to put that out, just leave it on the porch and let it grow out on the porch,
And
and
let
instead of
mhm.
schlepping it in and out, kind of thing. But it's still in its container first, and then I'll transplant it later,
And then
like
put it out.
what you do. Yeah, right.
Mhm. And you know what? Speaking of corn, because corn is in the grass family,
Yeah.
and most people, direct sow corn, or that is,
Yes.
the preferred method.
Yes.
I do have corn starting, but they are in cell trays. They're
Mhm.
in my green stalk, seed starting kit. And I have a few of them have, you know, popped the surface of the soil. I'm still waiting on many of them, but like I said, we've had very overcast days, rain, some cooler temperatures, some higher humidity. So I think for many of my seedlings, it's just kind of like slowing or extending the germination process, which is fine for me because that gives me more time to set up their permanent home, which I am
Yes.
so far behind on
Yeah.
doing. I need to get with it, y'all. I need to
Right.
get with it. But when you mentioned corn, and I was like, okay, corn is in the grass family, that brought me to 2025 hashtag
That's
2025
right.
rice challenge, which I still, y'all,
Yeah.
please, please forgive me. Please forgive me. I still have not. So I have, so the bucket has been sitting there for months. Like even before we talked about the rice challenge, the bucket that I knew I was going to use is sitting right there. It is about half full of peat moss that has been soaking in water for about some months, probably since like if not February, maybe March
No.
or mid-March or something, because I was soaking peat moss for something else and I had extra. I left the peat moss in the bucket and it rained. That bucket doesn't have holes in it. So it's just been sitting in there.
Right.
So this was my plan, Joy. This is gonna be an experiment because rice, also a grass, part of the grass family. I know that it likes uh nutrient,
Mhm.
nutrients in the soil. I'm not gonna dump out that peat moss.
No.
I'm gonna keep that peat moss and I'm gonna fill up the rest of the bucket with compost
Yes.
and maybe a little bit of soil or maybe just compost because of the peat moss. So this is gonna be it's going to be a real challenge for me because I want to try a non-conventional medium. So instead of, using full soil or soil with compost, I'm going to try this, waterlogged peat moss with compost. And I'm going to see. I'm going to see how it goes. I also I have some lawn fertilizer that I had from a long time ago when I thought I was gonna be like growing grass in my backyard, which I did, but I didn't water it like I was supposed to, so it
Um,
died. But I have this lawn fertilizer and it's like 2105.
oh
So it's
wow.
very high nitrogen, which I'm
Yeah.
thinking the rice will like. So it's granules. So I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of that in there. So we're gonna say half a bucket of peat moss, another half or slightly, less than half with the compost,
Mhm.
a sprinkling of the lawn, fertilizer 2105 and the rice, which I got from MI Gardner. And that may just lead us into today's topic. I'm gonna let you say it. I'm
Ah,
gonna
you
let you
ready for
say it,
that
Miss
already?
Joy.
Well, today's topic will be
Don't whisper it now. Say it loud.
the economy. The economy, people. We, I mean, we always have problems with the economy, but
Yeah.
as gardeners, we're paying attention to this one in particular because it's going to affect us, whether you want
Mhm.
to believe it or not. And specifically the tariffs and whether the tariffs stay or or go as this administration has been playing with us with the roller coaster of things. It's already begun, and therefore it's already going to trickle down and affect us down the line.
Mhm.
um what was it? I know you sent me a couple of things, and
Yeah,
and
we
i
we
uh
pulled up a couple articles just so we could read just for some from just like from some documented um just some documented references and information on the topic of um tariffs. What effects would tariff have on the home gardener specifically? So not just, the large agricultural industry or, big farmers or commercial growers, but what effects could, do, or will these tariffs have on us, the home gardener? And we pulled up a couple articles and we're going to kind of use that as a guideline and then, kind of discuss as we go. I just asked that, any pitchforks, sharp objects, please, just so we're not trying to make this a political, live stream, but we do want to discuss it because it, can have a direct effect on us. And like Joy said, especially depending on how long these go. So I'll say, so right now for me, well, hold on, let me just back up for a second. The prices of being a home gardener to me started increasing in 2020.
sure, yes.
So, I'm not gonna sit up here and say the prices were cheap and then, just last month, they skyrocketed out of nowhere. No, once people started gardening more and these companies and industries and stuff picked up on that, we started gardening more at home, starting in 2020, these companies got hip to the game and they started raising the prices.
Sure.
But that being said, this new, deal with these tariffs, this has a potential for even more increases for maybe an extended period of time. And that's what we want to talk about today. What's up, G Mama? How you doing? Thank you for joining us today. Appreciate you.
Yes. So I'd spoken about it like really briefly in one of my lives a couple of weeks ago, and
Hmm.
I just basically said I'm gonna go get more seeds because I saw that these tariffs could be a problem, but it was just like a blip in my mind. I really didn't like deeply delve into it. But then a couple of weeks after that is when I came across Hands in the Dirt posted a community post of Haas Tools Farms video about the tariffs. So I
Hmm.
watched that video and he showed his receipts, literally his receipts of how where he bought his seeds and the huge tariff taxes that was on that invoice. And then I was like, "Oh my god, there it is. This is why for
Hmm.
sure I need to bulk up my seed supply." Not that not that I needed them.
But yes, you do. You can never have too many seeds.
Exactly. I gotta have to watch everybody else's shows because some people have good giveaways, like Row and Row. You Grow Row is always giving away seeds. I'm like, I gotta win
Hmm.
some of those seeds.
Yeah, yeah.
But not just, let's see, and it's not just, we'll get into it, not just seeds, obviously, but everything that
Hmm.
goes with gardening and farming, the implements that we will inevitably be needing to resupply with in the future. So those are also in consideration for going up in prices. Um, yeah, so let's let's just say, where do most of our stuff come from? Where do all these seeds come from?
Hmm.
It's, and we're not naming, any one particular place because it's not all coming from one place. It's, I'd say, Asia. Asia would be the
Yeah.
main continent that supplies
Hmm.
our bulk of our seeds. Um, we don't grow like the bok choys and the fancy, I don't know what, in this country. But
You're right.
The Netherlands are huge for a lot of our flowers, particularly. But they do
Hmm.
have a lot of vegetable seeds too. Um, Apparently, Italy is a good source of our tomatoes. I didn't realize they had so much seeds growing in there. But yeah, like specifically in the Netherlands, because it's such a small country per se, that they do produce like a, there was a percentage that I don't remember now. They do produce a large percentage of our seeds. So that was pretty interesting to learn.
Hmm.
What, do you have anything to add? I just
I was just gonna say, so right now overall, because I would consider myself a garden seed connoisseur. I have a plethora of seeds of all kinds, of fruit, of herbs, of vegetables. And if these tariffs go on for an extended period of time, or even the effect of them now, because what happens with the tariffs is that, this stuff starts high level and then it trickles down, to us. Today, I don't see like a spike increase. Like I didn't purchase from Hoss Tools, but I didn't see a like a big jump in the price of seeds where I get my seeds from, like my
right.
local places or stores or whatever. But I bet you this time next month I will. So having a store of seeds already, that's gonna help me um to kind of cut down on cost. Joy, like you mentioned, is not just seeds, it's different type of plants, the flowers. We talk about like our pots, the
Mhm.
containers, the tools, the hand tools, the shovels, even like the garden ties, the string, the fertilizer. Fertilizer is a big
Fertilizer is
thing.
huge.
And a lot of that comes from outside of the United States. I would like to see us as a country do more for ourselves. And maybe
Mm,
these tariffs might help us to do that, because if
supposed to.
you have a choice between buying a highly tariff item from outside the country as compared to maybe a slightly elevated price of an item inside the company, I mean, inside the country, the fact that the item inside the country is less expensive, I know what I'm gonna do. I
Right.
mean, I'm gonna buy, the slightly elevated price of the in country item, but still that's cheaper than the tariff, external item. So like right now today, this is, oh, happy Cinco de Mayo for
Ah,
people who
yeah.
people who celebrate Cinco de Mayo. Um, I don't see a, a a rise in price that affects me personally, but that's because I have a store of seeds. I have extra garden soil. I got compost from my county landfill. I have trash cans full of it. I have purchased fertilizer, and then I have, my own fertilizer that I make, which I will be using more of, because I kind of slacked off on using it because I had all of this purchase fertilizer. But guess what? Your girl gonna go back to using that DIY homemade
That's
fertilizer.
right.
Oh,
I
what's
will.
up, you girl? Oh, your ears must be itching. Miss Joy was just talking about you. She was just saying all good things. She was just talking about you though. But yeah, so I would say right now I don't see a difference or a change, but it's because I have, like my stock and my stash, kind of like the country right now. The country still has a stock and stash,
Yes.
of things. It's when we run out of the things we have that we're going to start noticing a difference. I watched a YouTube video yesterday, and it's all about like the shipping industry, and
Mm,
the container ships, and what
right.
percentage comes in and comes out. And I'm in California, and we have some of the largest and the most major ports in the
Mm-hmm.
world, and not
Yeah.
just in the country.
Right.
And the guy was saying, between um this week, yeah, so this week of May 5th and like the next 2 weeks, there's going to be up to a 35% decrease in the container ships,
Oh.
coming to port
Mhm.
to, offload the goods and the items of everything, right?
Wow.
Everything. So I believe we will start seeing things like this month. So
Right.
if you need that fertilizer, if looking for the seeds. I mean, to me, not the seeds so much, but to me, the supporting items. So it's that fertilizer, soil, containers,
Yeah.
tools, like good tools.
Mhm.
And the plastic tools is fine, because trust me, I have them. But I do have, like, some sturdier tools, watering cans. Like, think about the supporting
Mhm.
items that you need to grow your seeds. Get
Yeah.
that stuff now if you can. Just a suggestion.
Garden
Hashtag
hoses,
not a professional of any kind for anything.
like irrigation. If
Mm-hmm.
what else? Yeah. Oh, let's look at that list you sent. What else can we buy now? Especially some seed companies, which I recently ordered from, um, post sales like right around now and in a month of they're getting rid of their this year's stock already, so they're
Mm-hmm.
discounting their seeds. So if you do need to resupply on seeds now, take advantage of these sales. It's not old seeds. It's fine. So most of
Right,
these
right.
seeds last year's. There's only a few, like I don't even know, but onions. The only ones I can think of are onions that might be like something you only order when you need it. But and certain other ones. But most seeds last year's. So if you buy it today, it'll be good 3 years from now. It'll be fine. So don't be afraid
Mm-hmm.
to get old seeds. It's not old. Let's see. You mentioned pots and trays, seeds. Let's see. Cocoa coir. Coco Core is huge, is what I primarily use because I don't
Mm-hmm.
like the idea of peat moss. So I already checked one of the vendors that I usually get it from, and they're out because they haven't resupplied probably for the next year. But I
Mm-hmm.
know that when I need to order them, they are going to be jacked in price. No, no way they're not.
Yeah.
So either I'm going to have to grow some coconuts and track my own, make my own
Make your
core,
own cocoa core, huh?
or I got to find a new supplier.
Oh,
um,
now you grow rose. She said that she stocked up on cocoa core. So where, would you mind sharing? Where did you source your cocoa core for? Maybe Joy can go there and make a purchase since her supplier is out. We can let's help each other.
and peat moss, obviously Canada. We're doing some nice battling with Canada, so our peat
Mm-hmm.
moss prices are definitely going to be through the roof in the near
Yeah,
future.
that's right. That's right. I have
Good.
from that article, I just want to read this part right here at the top. So this is from hort.net. So HORT.net. And it says the title of the article is "What Effect Will Tariffs Have on Home Gardeners in the US?" And I was like, that's perfect for the topic because that's exactly what we're discussing. This is from April the 3rd, so just about a month ago. And it says right now you probably won't see much of a difference. Most seeds, cuttings, pots, soil mixes, and fertilizers for the 2025 spring season were already ordered before the tariffs were enacted.
Right.
It says you might see higher prices on soil mixes after your first frost free date. So if you're watching your budget, it can make sense to stock up now. If the tariffs continue through the summer, expect price increases on fall offerings like bulbs, chrysanthemums, and cool season vegetables. If they're still around by winter of this year, many 2026 seed orders will be affected, and you'll likely see noticeable price jumps on spring vegetable starts, ornamentals, and the supplies used to grow them. So, like Joy was saying, if you even think that you might need something down the line, kind of look at your stash and see what you have now. So, if you have, I don't know, like two bags, the compacted bags or the blocks or bricks of cocoa core, but you know that you use, I don't know, five in a year. You
Right.
have two now. Go ahead and make those purchases. Make them now, even though you say, "Oh, I normally don't buy, my next packages until June or July or whatever." By that time, according to this article, the price could have already jumped. So look for sales, look for just, whatever. And the next article that we have, it kind of gives you some ideas of some things that you can do to help like ease the pain of how these tariffs might affect you. But make your purchases now. Because what do they say? Today's what is it? Today's sale is yesterday's full price. So I might have that backwards. But basically the price is not gonna go down. It's just gonna
Right.
keep going up. You're gonna see something on sale and you're like, man, this is on sale, but that was the regular price. Now it's
Right.
the sale price.
Right.
So make your purchases now. I've been going to Home Depot and Lowe's, my local nurseries. I check a few places online. I barely have room to store the purchases, but y'all, I'm gonna make them though.
And like there are some, obviously we're talking YouTube land here, but there are some
Mhm.
companies here that say they only buy American source seeds or whatever. But if you really listen and you do a little investigating, it doesn't take much.
Mhm.
Most of the time that's just like a marketing ad campaign, because there's no way, with the variety of seeds that some of these places sell, there's no way they're sourcing them from America, grown in America. By America I mean like the United States, maybe Canada.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm talking Mexico, I'm not sure. but but a lot of the times they might buy it from an American company based in America, but that company, which is huge, I'm talking like thousands and thousands of square, you know, big warehouses of seeds being sold from these places. Those seeds are sourced from around the world. So
Hmm.
at some point, whatever tariffs those companies are paying is going to trickle to that person you're buying from and to yourself. So don't like lean on that back, you know, in your mind idea that, oh no, I'm just buying American. No, you're not.
And sometimes that's, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow, or it might take a little bit of adjusting to get, because you think, oh no, I buy from X company, they are in the United States, they say that all of their, everything is, you made in USA, did USA, USA, USA. And it could be that that company
Oh, you're frozen. Well, Ro has the right idea. Of course, now I'm gonna have to go to her house and rate it. She did 3 bricks delivered per month. That's amazing. I do not have that. That what is it? I'm not that much of a hoarder. I'm just kidding. That was a great idea, Ro. You're brilliant. I should have been doing that. Oh, Healy, come back. Come back to us. What else? 3 bricks delivered. Anybody? Um, speaking of what? What was I speaking of? Okay, she's gonna come back to us in a little bit. What did I want to say? So usually I feed off of her and vice versa, but now she cut off in the worst place because I don't know where she's. Okay, here we go. She's back.
Yeah.
Shoo.
Yeah, yeah, I was
Oh, good. Shoo.
like, "What happened?"
Scared
I
me.
was talking, and then I saw like the black screen, and I was like,
Oh,
wait, because I saw your screen went black first, and then my screen went black, and I was like, wait. I promise I didn't press anything. Hands up.
oh, hopefully it stays good. All
But
right. Do you remember your train of thought? What you were
yeah, I was
saying?
just saying that you know, USA based companies that we purchase our seeds from, we think that the seeds are automatically grown in the USA. And even some of those companies, they source their seeds from other companies that they think the seeds are in the USA. And I was saying that if you purchase seeds from a company that sells hundreds of varieties of seeds, unless they own hundreds of acres of land here in the US, and they're, pretty much growing the plants, to maturity, saving the seeds and stuff themselves, they're not doing all of that themselves. There is no way that they are offering the seeds from themselves with all of those different varieties. So that company is outsourcing to another company. That company might be outsourcing, you know, or insourcing from another company. And 9 times out of 10, you find yourself outside of the US. And I said that to say this, maybe it's time for us to take a second look at some of the smaller um companies that offer seeds. Like we have a lot of people on YouTube, and they have seeds. I'm thinking, Homestead Heart, just particularly because I have seeds from her, and I just sold some of those seeds recently. But you have a lot of, small time homesteaders or gardeners, and they offer seeds. Maybe the price is a little bit higher than some of these huge conglomerate companies, but they are growing the seeds in their own yards and their own farms and homesteads right here in the USA, and then offering those seeds, to us. For me, it's worth it paying an extra dollar a pack because I'm supporting a fellow YouTuber, a gardener, a homesteader, or whatever. I know that everything is grown in the United States, and most of the time they're growing organically, or at least minimum um like chemical sprays and stuff. And that's something that I value also, because the larger the company, most oftentimes the more the chemical means, because they're growing for production.
Right.
And so they're spraying everything under the sun to get the maximum amount of harvest, so they can, get the maximum amount of seeds. And I'm not mad at them. I'm just saying it's a it's a cost to mass production. I feel like you have to use more chemicals and just, more means to get that mass production. So I myself am taking, a second, third, and a fourth look at some of the smaller, like YouTubers and the smaller companies and stuff that I know, the stuff is here in the United States. So that's kind of what I'm doing. But Joy, that kind of leads us to that second article. You might want to start us off with that. Some things that we can do to help us with our budget, as we trying to navigate these tariffs.
Yeah. So you speaking about, how these big guys exist and then the little guys are out there. Yeah, leads us to the first the first one, which is titled "Start a Seed Exchange." I am so envious of all these places that have these seed libraries and or communities like you have, where people
Mm-hmm.
come together and they share seeds and they share plants. We do not have that here in in friendly old New York, at least not in the downstate.
Mm-hmm.
um,
That might be
I know
something
one
for you to
place.
start though, Joy. Hey, you might be the one.
I'm not that friendly. There's one in upstate. It's called Fruition Seeds. They used to sell seeds. They were great because they were,
That's right. I remember them.
they were
Uh-huh.
awesome. Um, I mean, I'm gonna throw this in there. I didn't agree with their politics, but
Mm-hmm.
otherwise she was awesome. But I guess, they maxed out, or they're taking a rest and letting their
Mm-hmm.
plants just, you know, grow up, and then maybe they'll restart again. But for now, she's just doing a lot of community. She does share seeds within the community closer
Mm-hmm.
to her, but she's no longer shipping seeds, which is a real bummer.
Yeah.
Um, Another grower from our area is Hudson Valley. Oh crap, Hudson Valley Seed Corp, which is a farm like not too far away from me, so I order from them all
Mm-hmm.
the time. But as far as even smaller distributors, and I'll get to the whole seed sharing in a second. But as far as distributors, the smaller ones, like the ones you mentioned on YouTube, this little Etsy stores, I think it
Yeah.
would be like, if it comes to this, I think it would be great that those people come together and create their own like conglomerate, and
Mm-hmm.
they bank their seeds together so that it's more economical for everybody, that
Yeah.
they, you know, aren't distributing little seed packets to each individual person, but they're shipping their bulk of whatever seeds they've collected from their homestead to a major place. And I know there's money and all that involved in lots of
Yeah.
things. But if it comes to that, then I think that would be a great idea, that these little mom and shop pop shops come
Mm-hmm.
together, make a big partnership, and then become the supplier for the country and even the world. But all right, back to reality. Present day seed libraries, seed exchanges. I am actually, because I am nice. I am a nice person. At my
I
seed
believe you.
at my seed sale that I'm having in like 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
I have so many extras. I'm saying this. I have extra seeds because like
Mm-hmm.
Greenstock gives you extra seed packets when you order from
Yeah.
them. So I have like
Yeah.
so many lettuce seeds. I'm like, what am I gonna do with all
The-
these lettuce seeds?
Girl, between the lettuce and the
The
thyme
radish.
and what the radish, the basil, this.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm gonna give these
Yeah.
away. I am gonna give away seeds at my seed sale or my
Mm-hmm.
seedling sale. So
Yeah.
there, I'm doing my community service. But
Thank you. Thank you.
little
Thank
things
you.
like that, cuttings. Oh, my neighbors or my friends that have their own gardens, and if I see a plant that I like, I'm like, oh, can I take a little piece of that? Instead of
Mm-hmm.
having to buy it out at your Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever.
Yeah.
Take cuttings from your friends and family, propagate those, give it back to them if they need more plants. But
Mhm.
that's a perfect way. Oh, I think that's on the list down the road.
That no, but
But
that definitely, yeah, that and is something is free, right? I mean, because you already have the plant, you're just sharing a small piece of the
right,
plant. I mean, I guess I don't know if you want to count like gas money to ship it to the
right,
person, but
it's always free.
but it's free. It encourages and nurtures community, and we get to share stories, experiences, techniques. Um I like that. Yeah, I like that. The seed swapping, like you said. So we have libraries. Our book libraries have seed libraries. So, we have that going. Our community gardens have seed libraries. As a matter of fact, the community garden where I volunteer at, we just did like a cutting the ribbon cutting ceremony
Oh, nice.
for the seed library, and we had like um local seed companies like contribute, but
Hmm.
it's a way again, just to introduce people to gardening, helping them to manage some of the costs by offering free seeds, and that whole seed swapping, seed sharing, seed giving, donating, all of that kind of stuff. I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah. Hi, Cece. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, how you doing?
What else? So, if we just go down the list, we already mentioned buying in bulk. If you're a person who likes to top off their beds or you need new soil, get those soil now. Um, like I'm on the fence because I have soil, but I have to sift
Hmm.
it because there's lots of rocks and junk. But I'm like, should I just buy bags because that's so much easier?
And you can always, mix if that's something that you've
Right.
already been doing, or kind of like how when you take a dish, and you stretch the meal,
Yeah.
you add something to it to stretch it. I know
Yeah.
about that. I don't, I know about stretching meals, but that buying a couple of bags of the bags sold from the store, can help you stretch what you already
Already
have.
have. Yeah.
Like for me, all of the soil that I have is soil that I purchased from the store or soil that I made from compost, which is the next thing,
Right.
make your own compost. Also, check your the local, I think it's like the sustainability office. It's different names in different like cities and towns and stuff, because my county offers free compost
Ah.
3 or 4 times a year. Matter of fact, I think it was either the weekend that just passed or is this Saturday coming up, is like the next thing. And they have compost. They offer the compost to like city residents or county residents based on the recycling that we are mandated to do. But they take they take our green waste, so all of your kitchen scraps and stuff, your lawn clippings, branches, that kind of stuff, and they use that to make compost, and then they offer it out to the residents 3 or 4 times a year for free.
Nice.
I mean, you need your own container, you need your own shovel, your own gloves, but the compost itself is free. You
Nice.
just go. I mean, and the last time I went, I got 4 33-gallon trash cans full of compost.
Wow.
So like I'm good. I'm good
Yes.
on compost. Plus I have my own compost bin that is full. But I think I showed it in some of my videos. It's kind of like a rectangle bin thing that I bought. That's full. Plus I have a 33-gallon green trash can with more compost because the compost bin is full.
Yeah.
So, so I have that, and then I have some soil, those yellow, this, what is it, Walmart brand, Stay Green or Stay whatever,
Hmm.
some bags of soil. I think I bought that soil probably like 2 years ago, and I never used it. But guess what? I'm glad that I have it because I can't dig out native soil. My soil is like 100% clay, it's compacted,
Right.
plus it's covered with that fake like brown mulch that I'm gonna be digging up and getting rid of. But I can't use my native soil. So I either have to purchase soil or I have to make soil through compost, which takes like a while.
Yeah.
So yes, the sales, and I even think like right now, depending on your area and stuff, Home Depot has, I think they have like Miracle Grow 5 bags for $10 or some, that they have that right now in my area. And that sale has been going on for like 2 weeks.
Hmm.
It's been going on for about 2 weeks now. So I don't know. But check your local big box stores, your local nurseries. Y'all, but I ain't gonna lie, I'm finding that like generally all around, we having less and less sales
Right.
on the soils, the fertilizers, the tools, the things that cost the big money.
Right.
You can get a pack of seeds. Let's just say a pack of seeds costs $5, and we know we can get them a lot cheaper than that. But a pack of seeds costs $5, and if you get 20 seeds, you could end up with like a bazillion plants and then 10 bazillion more seeds that you can save.
Right.
But with the fertilizers, the liquid fertilizers, the granules and stuff, that stuff costs money. And those are the things that are not going on sale. Now, if
Right.
y'all got fertilizer on sale at a big box store or somewhere nationwide, please type it in there because I'm trying to get stuff on sale.
Hey, David.
What's up, David?
Oh, don't forget your the BT, the neem, the pesticides, the
That's
natural
right.
pesticides. If you need those, which I know a lot of
Mm-hmm.
us do, get those. Don't forget those.
Yeah, because that's not on sale either. I don't see. So
Yeah.
those are the things that I don't see on sale. I'm tired of the 0.75 cubic bag of Miracle Grow potting soil being on sale. I mean, I don't use Miracle Grow, but that's just a personal choice. But what I'm saying is, you put them little bags on sale.
Right.
What about the big bags of fertilizers, like you said, the pesticide, the stuff that costs money? Big box stores. If you just happen to come across this live stream, can we get a sale, please?
Right. Oh, as far as making your own compost, if you don't have space, which a lot of us don't have the space, do little things. Robbie from Southern California, Robbie, oh, I forget her gardening channel,
Yeah, yeah,
but
Robbie and
what
Gary,
she,
yeah.
yep, what she does is she takes her kitchen scraps, not the meats and dairy, but your greens and whatever, and she puts it directly under a pot. I mean, it's in a
Mm-hmm.
pot, but then she puts a pot on top of that. But she composts in place per se. So
Yes.
as the compost is composting, as the scraps is composting, the pot on top of it and the plant sitting in it and the roots are going down into that composting stuff. And it's,
Mm-hmm.
composting as it's going. And it's just a small little thing. But it's working and she
Yes.
gets soil at the end of the day. And that's all you
Mm-hmm.
really care about. Next season, the scraps are all gone and you have more soil. So you didn't have to do much work to do. So if you have a bunch of little planters all over your house, get more planters and put a pot
Mm-hmm.
under them. Not in your house. I mean, outside.
That's right. Now, Cece is saying the garden sales are at the end of the season, close to winter. Now, I do find that like November, December or whatever, I do find that. But here in my area, we have sales starting like right around 4th of July.
Yeah.
We have sales then, like major sales, and I think those are maybe like what was produced from the spring season.
Mm-hmm.
Those things go on sale in like June, July timeframe. And then in September, which is like the end of the harvest, we will start having sales, like major sales in September, like it's almost like Labor Day. So like 4th of July, major kind of like home gardener ish
Right.
sales, and then around Labor Day, sales, and then, November. So like Thanksgiving through the end of the year, we'll have sales. So it may depend on, where you live
Yeah.
and like the growing season for where you live for local sales. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I do agree that the sales at the end of the season, especially with the larger, more commercial companies and businesses, because they can only sell, especially specifically seeds, they can only sell seeds for the same year. So when the closer it gets to the end of the year, the more you will see the sales But that's a question that I just have thinking to myself, how will the tariffs affect the sales? We're gonna
Well,
find out if these tariffs continue on.
right.
Um, we're gonna see how it's gonna affect just like the whole complex of home gardening. We're gonna see, and
Well,
that leads.
if there's a run on the supplies, like everybody buying up toilet paper, then there
Mhm.
won't be anything to be put on sale at the end of the season.
That's true. That is
So
true. All the more
there is
reason to buy your stuff. Yeah, and you know what? Speaking of toilet tissue, because I'm probably gonna soon as we finish with this live, I might have to run and get me some too. Because yo, why though? It to me the strangest things um get the run on them, for an event. So like in the 2020 2021, right?
yeah.
We're talking about a respiratory situation.
Right.
But the toilet tissue was empty. The problem is up here. Like the problem up here, but you're running on the product
It's
that worked
dual
down there.
purpose.
I'm just, I mean, yeah. Oh, 'cause maybe people was blowing their nose more too, not
Because
just
it's cheaper to
that's
use that to blow your nose than the pricey
that might, you
Kleenex.
know what, baby, that was me. Maybe that was it. Y'all, we gotta lighten it up because when you start talking about we're talking about how tariffs could do or will affect the home gardener. And that could be a real serious topic. It could get real deep real quick. So we're gonna lighten it up a little bit. Just a little bit. We staying on topic, but we're gonna lighten it up just a little bit. Now, Joy, we have a few minutes left here, and I want to actually get through a few more of these items. Some things that we can do
Hey, girl,
to
dad.
help us, as we navigate through these tariffs. So the next thing, and just kind of go through these quickly, repurpose household items. I do that already. Y'all know me. Waste not, want not, repurpose, reuse, recycle, re. I do all of that. Y'all give us some ideas of some repurposing household items. What do you use in your garden?
David has the
Um,
right idea.
yeah.
He's going to use a towel.
But you know what though? But you can reuse that type now as long as you
Exactly.
have the items to clean that towel, and get it. I mean, but y'all back in the day, like the first diapers, that was cloth
Yeah, it's
diapers.
cloth. I
And
have mine.
they were washed and cleansed and reused.
Mhm.
You know what? I would say this. I believe that these tariffs might help us to kind of go back to some
Yes.
foundational things that
Yeah.
like our grandparents did, our parents
Yes.
and grandparents and even great grandparents, because they, everything was, USA pretty much,
Right.
and grown in the home, made in the home, stitched and sewn in the home. um this might kind of reinvigorate that and take us back to those times where we are more self-sufficient and self-reliant. um because out of need comes innovation, and we I think we gonna be innovating, y'all.
Which I'm looking forward to, in a way, because I
Hmm.
come from a country where I didn't grow up with electricity. I didn't have a television for a long, long time, like 9 years before I saw television.
Hmm.
So you woke up at the crack of dawn, you fell asleep at sunset. That was the lifestyle. And yeah,
Yeah.
you used the things that were reusable and lasted a long time. So
Hmm.
and even for my kids, I wish I could like send them to a third world country so they could have some of that hardship to appreciate how good they have
Yes.
it. Oh my god.
You
So
know what, as a country, as Americans, we are spoiled. And I'm saying that because I'm an American. We spoiled. We are used to the finer things in life. And even though we complain about not having the double mochiati whatever sauce in the Starbucks drink, you know, we are spoiled. This could be a humbling experience for us, but it could take us back to, like I said, self-reliance, self-sustainability, I see what David sewing his own diapers. What was that? Oh. But I mean, simple things just is sewing. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm you know what? I got you on them buttons. I could sew a button. I got you. But if you need a sleeve, I might better get you with an elbow or a knee patch. But if you need the sleeve to the shirt, if you need a shirt, I might get you the neck ring. But see,
Stock up on
but
duct
this,
tape.
some y'all duct tape. Now that's what people should have been running to the store for instead of toilet tissue. Get the duct tape. You can use duct tape for everything, duct tape. But yeah, we so down here, now this is something, Joy, you might have this. So this says create a rainwater harvesting system. Do you
got
have that? I bet you David got it. I know he got it.
I've
Y'all
got an
see?
IBC tote that's hooked up to my chicken coops gutter system. It's not a system, it's just a gutter and some pipes, So I have an
Uh-huh.
IBC tote for the chickens and the garden because that water isn't exactly clean or anything. And then I have another gutter from the house that's like over, like it's full of leaves right now, so the gutter's just gushing everywhere, the water.
Mm-hmm.
So I have one of those big garbage, because we don't use the garbage service, but we still have the garbage container
Oh yeah,
for the
yeah.
garbage service. So I
Yeah,
took
yeah,
that
yeah.
and I stuck it underneath the gutter, and that's collecting all the rainwater from
Collecting the
that.
water.
Yep.
And see, now that's one thing that New York has over California, or at least where I
Right.
live, because you almost gotta, you gotta get approval. It's an
Right. It
act of Congress
sucks.
to save water here. I think that's
Right.
so ridiculous, but I'm not gonna get off on that. But yeah, so that was one thing on the list, a rainwater rain catchment system. We talked about gardening co-ops or seed swaps and stuff like that. Um, that's something if you have it in your area, or you could be like Joy and just start it. But co-ops are good. Mulching techniques, especially if you live in a dry, warm area, any area really. But if you're trying to save water, you're trying to keep the plants, the soil cool and moist, and like the plants hydrated, mulching definitely, is something important, and it's free. I mean, you can mulch with the leaves that fall from the trees in your yard. I know, Joy, you do some mulching. What kind of materials do you use for
Yeah,
mulching?
definitely. In the fall here, it's great because we have a lot of people with trees. I have trees. I collect other people's leaves though because I don't have enough of my own.
Yeah, yeah.
So that has been great. There's every year there's like a place, like an amusement park type place, and they
Mhm.
get bales of hay for their like rides and amusement stuff. And then at the end of the season, so come like January, they're like, we don't know what to do with all these hay bales. Take them for free. So I grab as many as I can fit in my truck, and I get
Yeah,
bales of
yeah.
hay. It may not be like the best quality hay, but I don't give a frick because
Mhm.
it's not chemicals. That's for sure. It doesn't have
And that's
chemicals on
the
it. So
yes.
I've at least tested that. But as far as mulching or building beds, like adding it in there,
Mhm.
chicken bedding, something for the chickens to scratch in, perfect. I use we have chip drop here, so we can get a little bit of a free tree trimmings or
Yeah.
chips, or you can donate, which I do donate to them. Also, what else do I use? I don't know if you have like sheep, you can use the wool. That's the whole the rage now. Find a sheep
Mhm.
farmer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
Oh.
we have an alpaca farmer not too far away, so I'm gonna be hitting him up
Uh-huh.
for his like used up,
Oh, well,
you know,
George, shoot, you
stuff.
you said you said. Now you also talked about this. Oh, just real quick on the chip drop. So we have that in our area, and I want to try it, but from my understanding,
It's
like
a
you
lot.
sign up and you don't know, you could be getting like
Yeah,
one square yard, or you could be getting like a whole
block.
house yard full, and you don't know like how much, you don't know exactly when. I think they do give you like a
Oh,
week
wait, no.
time frame, and then maybe you get like a 1 or 2 day notice, heads up.
Yeah,
And if you're not home and you don't tell them like where to dump it,
where?
they literally they
Yeah,
just dump it. So
yeah.
So I'm kind of, I'm a little hesitant on that. Now
That
you
would be
already
something
talked.
you would like take to the community, maybe the community group you have, and then
Yeah.
slowly pick up from there.
And
Yeah.
then, yeah, maybe the community garden could hold that because now my front yard is bare. I'm not gonna lie, it is bare, but I don't know, because I live in the HOA and they probably wouldn't,
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
might, they might not like that.
No.
You already talked about propagating your own plants. You talked about that.
Mhm.
And that's free. I mean, you already have the plant and you're just taking parts and pieces, and making new plants. And the thing I like about propagating the plants is that what you propagate is, you're gonna get that same thing. Sometimes you can take a seed and you think you're getting the same thing as the parent, but if there was any kind of cross pollination or anything, you might end up with, I don't know what you end up with. But when you propagate, you're gonna get daughters and sons, of the same, from the same parent. The next thing I know, I've been seeing the chat. I've been seeing you, CC and David. I see the chat. It's all good to me. To me, everything is all good. You know,
People are in their
I'm
better behavior in the mornings. It's the night ones
yeah.
that they get
You
right.
know, I'm good. I'm good. Like, I'm good with it all. I'm good with it all.
Yeah.
As long as the focus is on, you talking about me, cracking jokes and stuff over there. It's trust, promise. I promise you, it's all good. It's all good. I take I have a tough skin for for like the social media thing. And CC, I know that ain't even what you saying, but the jokes and the cracks and stuff, you know, it's everything. It's all
Yeah.
good. It's all
It's
good.
fun.
The next thing it says opt for perennials over annuals. What you think
Well,
about that?
that's like herbs, let's say. That works for herbs because those
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them overwinter. So if you grow more of that, that would be good. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't. That wouldn't really replace. Like for me in the north, definitely that's a hard. That's a bargain I can't go with because we rely on annuals more than we do perennials.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe potatoes. Like maybe we could grow more potatoes because we could maybe overwinter that to a
Uh-huh.
degree, and carrots maybe. But for the most part, we rely on our annual vegetables for our sustenance.
To go and see in my area, some of the annuals just become perennials because they
Right.
just they just don't. I'm looking at the tomato plants.
Yeah. You're lucky, lucky, lucky.
And I keep saying that I'm gonna take them down. Now the big one bush tree in the front and that one raised bed, I did. I pulled it up by the root. I took the whole thing out. The ones in that back raised bed, I was supposed to pull them up and I didn't, and now they are growing fresh and new again. I did do some moderate pruning on it to clean it up a little bit, and I thought that if the pruning, maybe that would, put it at its demise. No, y'all. They got fruit. They have fruit on those tomato plants. Then I got two volunteer tomatoes that just like popped up. I pulled them out of the raised bed and I put them in a bucket. But just getting back to, annuals and perennials. If you can make an annual last, especially as we progress into longer time frames for these tariffs, y'all, anything we can do to extend the growing season, amp up the harvest, um, anything to get us more with less, because depending on how long this carries on, at some point we are going to be working with less. It can be less seeds, less soil, less fertilizer, less, whatever, and we're gonna have to make it stretch. And I mean, we could do it. And in this here, sharing resources with neighbors, you talked about that. Um, a lot. For me, that would be tough because I don't really get down with my neighbors. I keep to myself. Like I keep to
Yeah, me too.
myself. Like, I might, like I be looking all lively and bubbly and stuff, and I be showing out on YouTube, you know what I'm saying, on social media. But in the real world, I keep to myself. So,
Hey,
but
girl, day.
now if push come to shove or something like that, if I see my neighbor's stomach touching his back, you know, I'm gonna share some resources. Like it's not like that. But for the most part, I keep to myself. But I am not opposed and am actually very open to sharing resources because if everybody is at least okay, then your neighborhood, your environment is okay. As soon as one or more people really start going without,
Then
people get desperate,
yes.
especially when you're hungry. So I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you with that before I gotta help you another kind of way. But let's go ahead and move on to the next thing.
Well, I want to just like uh, not to end, but like some of us are already in the season where our fruits are up and abundant, and some of us are just putting food in the ground and starting to put stuff in the
Mm-hmm.
ground. So and some of us are just barely starting to put seeds in the soil. So for those of us who already have things to harvest, keep a few to save the seeds from. For those of
Mm-hmm.
us now who are just starting out, plant extra. Plant extra for the purpose of saving the seeds or to let
Mm-hmm.
it go to flower.
Yeah.
Like let's say broccoli. Broccoli's super easy. Keep
Mm-hmm.
a plant, one plant, maybe planted like in the back end of wherever, and
Mm-hmm.
let that thing go to seed. The pollinators will love you for it. It'll be great. And it'll be pretty, it won't bother you, and it'll be super easy to collect that seed later on. Um, what was my I had this like big thing in my head that I was gonna say about it.
It's gonna come to you. I'm
But
reading
yeah,
you.
save save seeds that way.
Yeah.
Extra, plant extra if you're gonna be saving seeds was the main
And
point
see,
for me.
I tell myself, okay, I'm only gonna do this certain, let's just say I'm only gonna do three varieties of tomatoes. I'm
Right.
only gonna do two varieties of I
Which is
have
okay.
144 seed cells right now. I'm looking at them outside. 144
Right.
of all kind of different, everything. But I was looking, you grow Roshi say I can't grow perennial tomatoes, but I can grow long keeper. I have tomatoes now that I picked in October last year, fresh and edible. Please tell us how you kept them fresh from October. So did you keep them fresh from October and you're eating them now in May? Or you harvest them in October and just like over the time period, like what do you still have tomatoes today in May that you harvested in October? I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying because that's good. A
Mhm.
tomato lasting that long, like did you leave it on the plant or did you harvest it and put it what they call it a cool, dry, dark place or something like? Please tell us. And look, she said I started 80 different varieties, hoping at least 60 make it to the garden. Now, see, that make me feel good because I think I did 6, 12. I might have did 12.
So,
I think I did 12.
well, the less you have of the of variety, you can have like 100 of one variety. At least then you're more likely to have a true like less cross pollination challenges.
Hmm.
So there's that. So if you have a favorite tomato, just grow that. Just grow extra of that. But me, I haven't found a favorite anything, so I grow a
Me
bajillion
either. I
varieties.
know. I grow everything. Now, Joy, tell us about this because you talked about we were talking about pest control and stuff earlier, and this says utilize natural pest control. What's your ideas on that? Or you have some,
Oh, I
just some things that you
then you
use?
would need to stock up, let's say, on baking soda, vinegar, salt, and what's the other one that's a household product? Dang it, I always forget. But household products are good pest deterrents if you
Mm-hmm.
use them properly. Oh, like oils, peppermint oil,
Yeah, yeah.
mints, things like that
Mm-hmm.
that you can spray in dilution. You can spray those around, and the smell will confuse things
Mm-hmm.
from thinking that that is the plant they want. They think it smells weird, so they don't go for that.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to buy like the super expensive pesticides. You just want to confuse the animal into
Mm-hmm.
thinking, oh no, this isn't the paradise I thought it was.
And I know sometimes instead of saying, I'm going to 100% eradicate this pest,
Mhm.
because sometimes that leads to you 100% killing your plants. Just try, like, maybe at least the interim goal would be, let me get these pests down to a manageable
Mhm.
level, instead of, hey, I'm going to spray everything under the sun or sprinkle everything under the sun. I'm going to kill, these pests, and you end up with like one tomato instead of 80. Another thing I was going to say, so that the liquid Castile soap,
Yes, yes, yes. Soap.
I have found success with using that, because I know, like, in times past, I've seen recipes where people use like Dawn
Mhm.
dishwashing liquid, or some dishwashing liquid, and let's say it works with that product, but Dawn has the coloring dyes and
Yeah.
these different chemicals and the fragrances and artificial fragrances and all that kind of stuff, where if you use Castile soap, that's like a more pure natural ingredient, and you can add, like you said, the peppermint essential oil, the tea tree oil, the whatever,
Right.
which would give the fragrances to help confuse the pest and stuff or whatever. So just more natural pest control, because we just, we have to remember, and sometimes we might not be thinking about it at that moment, because we really trying to kill that pest.
Mhm.
Whatever you spray on that, especially if it's during fruiting season, or some of these pest products, they can penetrate and get inside the plant.
Right.
Even though you spraying on the surface, some of this stuff does go inside the cell wall of the plant. And then it's a potential for even just a little minuscule amount of it to come out in the fruit, or the vegetable, or the produce. So, just kind of consider that. But I ain't gonna lie. Now, if you have to, use what you have to.
Yeah.
But if you can start with more natural pest control, I believe it'll be safer for the plant, at least manage the pest, and then in the end be safer for us, because we trying to eat that. I'm not growing nothing for looks, y'all. That's why it's taking me so long to get into these flowers, and I'm starting with the edible flowers. I don't grow stuff I can't eat.
There
Call me greedy.
you go.
Let's see, this says explore urban gardening options. Now, I have heard, I think in your state, Joy, and some other places, of like urban gardening, or urban food lots, where the city or the town or whatever has taken, maybe it was an old parking lot, or it was, I don't know, an area that either used to be housing or was going to be prepared for housing, and just small lots. And this is like in the middle of cities,
Mm.
and they just become urban food plots. And just a community, they come in, they share all of the responsibilities, sowing the seed, weeding, watering, all that kind of stuff, and it's a urban food plot. And I've heard of those.
Yeah.
I don't know of any in my area. I mean, I just know about the community gardens. I don't know about the urban food plots, but in my area, but I have heard of them, and I think they have some success.
Yeah, I know. Like I haven't seen it on in New York. I know they exist, but
Hmm.
John Kohler, Grow Your Own Greens, he goes out in California, Nevada, that area, and he
Hmm.
goes to these plots, like you were saying, the urban plots, and interviews and tours the places. So yeah, they definitely exist, and
Hmm.
definitely a great like boon to the community and a resource for the people and children, especially like the learning experiences that they provide for the kids.
That's true. And getting children in, young people, people who you never thought may have been interested in gardening, just kind of exposing them
Mm-hmm.
to that, and getting them into just that kind of environment. You'll be surprised. We might have some little gardeners on our hands that we don't even know about. You just introduce them. our community garden, we host a few schools, like local schools in the area, and they come and kind of help with the garden. Sometimes they pick weeds, sometimes they sow seeds, sometimes they but they do little things in the garden just to expose them to the environment, and so they understand gross produce does not grow in a grocery store. Like it, you know,
That would be a
there's
problem.
a, yeah, it doesn't, where do bananas come from? The grocery store. Well, I mean, yeah, when you buy them, but that's not where they come from. And then the last thing on the list here, it says attend free gardening workshops.
Yeah, I guess they have those here.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I mean, there's a YouTube video for that. But I mean, if you don't have anything in your local area, um, I don't know, maybe some of the local nurseries, because I know two of the local nurseries in my area, they do like every other Saturday or something, they will have like a 1 to 2 hour class on a specific gardening topic. So they do that. It's like first come, first serve, and they only have so many spots available. Um, but there's that. But YouTube and other social, I always say YouTube because that's
Yeah.
where I am, but all of
Right.
the other social media, outlets or whatever, there's a video for that. Or audio podcast and stuff
Oh
like that.
yeah.
So if you can't, yeah, if you either don't have gardening workshops in your area, podcasts, video, audio, there's some format where you can learn, and you can always do searches on the internet. Um and yeah. So these are some ways that we can work around or work through or navigate these tariffs depending on how long they last. Or you know what, but I think these are good practices even if we didn't have any
Right.
tariffs. You
Exactly.
know, I think we should be more applying these things like regardless anyway.
Yes.
I I hope that as a country we begin to do more for ourselves, because we have become so dependent on other countries for everything. I was watching just a piece on the news, and they were saying, 70 to 90% of our pharmaceuticals are from, other countries, 60% of this, 70% of that, 45% of this, just to me, if it's more than 15%, that's too much, because if anything ever happens with one of these other countries that we are significantly reliant upon for ABC, XYZ, and we don't manufacture or produce or whatever internally inside our own country, if that country says, you know what, whoosh, cut you off, we'll have maybe a month or 3 months supply of, whatever, because it's already here. But then after that, what? And 3 months is not enough time to,
Start all over again.
rebuild
Right.
infrastructure, blah, 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 and come out with a completed product. You're not gonna do that in 3 months. So
Right.
this was good. I really I enjoyed this live stream. This was a good topic.
Hmm.
Um I didn't see any pitchforks, you know what I'm saying? I think we kept, mine is back here, but I mean, I think, but this was important though. And this
Yes.
just goes to show we can talk about um I'll just, more serious, the economy, politics, government, whatever. We can have those discussions, without like flying through the screen, and stuff. If we take a step back and just say, okay, this is happening, whatever the root cause or the person, I blame this person, I blame this person. Okay, but let's stick to the issue, and
Mhm.
then let's see how do we work through it. And
Right.
I think that's what we did today in this live stream. So Joy, thank you very much, because you came up with it. It was good. It was, timely, and you know
No,
I
thank you.
think this live stream is a benefit. It definitely helped me out, so I appreciate you. Thank you, Joy.
You take more credit than you think. Yes, it was. It's hard to like. as a content creator that's just like part-time, basically, it's hard to come up with
Mhm.
these topics, um, especially relevant ones. We're constantly in our garden, we're busy all the time. But
Yes.
yeah, I thought this was definitely something timely, specifically because, like I said,
Mhm.
if you've already started harvesting, or if you're just putting seed in the soil, now is the time to really be thinking about a lot of this information that you're getting thrown at. um Shameless, um not a plug or a self promotion, but I'm gonna put this out to the universe. If anybody
Mhm.
can lend me $3 million,
Girl,
I
let me
want to
get my
buy a
checkbook.
nursery.
That's all
I
you
want to buy a
need.
nursery. There's a nursery for sale that I really want.
Oh, wow, really?
Then it's more than $3 million, but you can always
Mm.
talk them down. It's kind of.
So 2,999.
Yeah, right. And it's all like,
Oh,
up in,
wow.
it could be like a turnkey, and it's got,
Mhm.
the storefront, the parking, the EV plug, or whatever you call that. So
Yeah.
it's just like a dream, one of those, oh, if only I had $3
Mm.
million.
Is there anybody else in your area that's, like real interested in gardening and maybe, having a part in a nursery, somebody that you can go into partnership with?
Right. There was one person I was thinking of, but they haven't returned my email. So,
Oh,
but I don't know if if they
sometimes
have $3 million.
sometimes that tag, yeah, that dollar sign tag will, cause you to pause a little bit. You know what they're probably saying? I'm gonna pray on this. I'm a,
Right.
I'm, I'm gonna pray on this, and then I'm gonna get back to you. So,
I need everybody to pray for me to get $3
hmm
million.
oh wow, that would be awesome. You know what? If I'm not gonna lie to you, if that happened and you were able to get that nursery, I would come visit you.
Oh,
Like for
yeah.
real. Not in the
Well, you
winter
can
now.
still
We not
visit.
just, not I have to wait till to get if I can't be wearing like a parka and snow boots and shoes, coming in the warmer weather, but I
Right, right.
definitely will come visit you. Wow, that's awesome. And you never know
That's
somebody
why.
might see this video and able to help you. You never know,
Yep.
you know. I'm
Well,
glad that you said it though. Mhm.
it's important. Saying it out loud is important. It makes it
Mhm.
happen.
That's
All
right.
right. So, on a tangent on that note.
Look, see you grow rose. She say she'll come too.
All
And
right.
we'll get David. You
If
know
you're
what I'm
ready.
saying? We'll come visit. We will get together and we will come visit. That's for real.
Awesome.
But what's also for real is that I'm out of time.
Yes. Well, thank you again, Healy, and thank you, chat, for being so engaged. And anybody in the replay that catches this, thank you for stopping in. I appreciate all of you, and we will catch you on another live on another day. I think that's what Rose says. All
Oh,
right.
you gotta have your own little,
I know.
your little thing. But you do
Oh
say stuff
yeah,
at the end of your videos. You
I
do.
do. I say, so well, harvest more. And I got Healy's info at the bottom there, scrolling. I
Okay.
should have
Oh
done
yeah,
sooner.
make sure did you make a banner for yours
Yeah, it's okay.
to you? Yeah. Well, I sure appreciate that. Thank you so much. I am only on YouTube. I keep, hinting that I have a Pinterest page that I haven't visited in probably about 3 years. I don't even know the password. I keep saying I'm gonna do something with it, but y'all know I'm here on
Too
YouTube.
busy.
Make sure you check out my community posts and my YouTube shorts because I'm doing a lot more of those than videos just because I'm so busy with my job. I do a lot of driving and traveling, and I can't do. I mean, I guess I could do my vlog in the car videos sometimes, but it's hard to do. Like long form, full videos
Yeah.
when, when I'm always driving. But stay tuned. Um, I'll have some more content coming up this week. It's been busy though. It's been really busy, but I appreciate your support. Joy, thank you so much for inviting me onto the live stream. We always have fun. We do.
Yes.
We do. And I'm good for a few laughs, some sleeveless t-shirts. We had to get my sewing game, because the button though, for real. I got you with the button, but I might need to do a little bit more than that. So thank you so much for having me.
All right. Talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.